Welcome to Haunted Hospitality, Southern Stories told by Spooky Gingers. I'm Robin.
And I'm Zoey, and we both have stories for you guys today because it is episode 2 of season 2 of the Haunted College Tour Palooza. But first, Robin, how's life?
My life is an update about
last episode
whether Kentucky fought in the Confederacy or the Union Army, because I realized we didn't know, and that feels like something that we should know, given that we cover Kentucky. So I did a little bit of Googling, and I thought it'd be like a quick Google of, oh yeah, okay, this one or this one. And no, it turns out it's complicated. So actually I'm going to tell you a little bit. Apparently, Kentucky was originally saying it was going to be neutral, but then it became pro-union, so it was doing union stuff. But then they decided to do it, not they, but like this group of very pro-Confederate people decided to break off, secede, literally start a state called Confederate Kentucky, and make their own government. So a lot of people in Kentucky fought for the Union, a lot of people fought for the Confederacy. So basically the whole answer is it's complicated, but probably officially Union, given that they had to secede from the state to make it Confederate.
Okay.
Or maybe they were seceding from the Union and they were calling that Confederate. I don't know. Somebody seceded from something, but I'm going to say it's complicated.
Okay, so my assumption that it was a Confederate soldier who was haunting that area was not a well-educated assumption. It was just a flat-out assumption.
It could have been anything.
It could have been anything.
It was just an assumption. You had about a 50-50 shot.
Okay.
Okay, how was your life?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So,
you're welcome.
By the time this episode comes out, the day this comes out will be the day after I have returned from my trip, so I can talk about it now. So hopefully my Ouija boarding has gone well. But my trip...
If it hasn't, you won't be here next episode.
True facts. But I'm so excited because I'm going to Savannah, Georgia, which is one of the haunted places we've covered. And I hope to go to the Moon River Brewing Company.
I really hope you enjoy it. Can I just say, for how haunted Savannah is and how close it is to us, the fact that we've only covered one place in Savannah is insane to me.
Well, Robin, let's go ahead and segue into my something that's about Savannah, Georgia.
Okay. All right. What's your something?
Okay, so this is one that I have actually previously looked into to being a full episode, but I got into the notes and I was like, oh, there's 5 websites saying the same thing. So I pretty much already had this together, but I did shorten it and clarify it for a something. Have you ever first of all, have you ever been to Savannah?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard of the Kehoe House?
No.
Okay. So it is an inn now, but it's still called the Kehoe House. And it was a hotel. Well, it was built as a house in 1892 by William Kehoe, and he lived there with his wife and his 10 kids. The story goes is that it's a really sad story, actually. His twins died in the house is the story, but there's absolutely zero evidence of this. So this is just the rumor. But the version of the story that's most popular is that the 2 6-year-old boys were playing hide and seek with their other siblings, and then they hid in the chimney, and they got stuck in the chimney, and their mother came home, and they were like, she was like, well, where are the twins? And nobody knew. And so they searched and searched, and they couldn't find the twins, and it was days later when they started smelling a foul smell.
Oh God.
And so they opened the chimney and they found the twins dead. But again, there's absolutely zero proof for this. There's no death certificates from this house saying that anyone has ever died there.
Okay, thank you for the reminder. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm just going to believe that didn't happen for my own well-being. Okay.
And I don't think you're even like fooling yourself. I think it's like most people say, unless they're trying to have a haunted tour, that this did not exist.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, like, we don't even know the boys' names, so there is other stories that are a little bit less popular that say that there was at least one of his daughters, maybe two, who died either from yellow fever or scarlet fever. And I do know that yellow fever was a huge issue in Savannah. So likely somebody did die of it, but that's kind of like less traumatic, so people don't tell that story as much. The Kehoe house was once a funeral home, so between being a house and an inn to stay in, it was a funeral home. So any ghostly apparitions that appear could easily be from the time it was a funeral home. Some of the ghosts. Many people see ghost children in the inn. They say that you could hear children playing, laughing, or calling out to their mother. Children are seen running through the halls or appearing and disappearing in rooms. And staff have heard a young boy asking them to play with him. But the hotel does not allow children to stay in the hotel. So it would be one thing, it would be like, oh, you hear kids playing in the hall? Well, okay, there's probably a family with kids. But you're not allowed to check in if you have kids in your party.
Okay, that's cool.
That's very
cool.
creepy.
Thank you very much. Also, that's like I've never heard that rule before.
I think it's because it's like a historic house, and so like they keep things pristine. It's like a luxury. Like they leave cookies on your pillows. Like
like your kid can't pee on these original floors.
Exactly. They can't color on these original wallpaper. Yeah. So there's other weird things that happen as well. You can smell old perfumes, usually a dusty rose perfume or like a manly cologne. You can smell those throughout the halls at random intervals. People can feel people touching them while they sleep. So they'll
No.
So they'll either feel somebody like brushing their hair back, caressing their cheek, or feel somebody sitting on the bed next to them.
Okay, this is really creepy, but I'm going to tell you briefly what this reminds me of, makes me think of. So my cat was... my cat, Remy, was, like, right by my face recently when I woke up. So I opened... She, like, wanted to get up with me. My leg is healing, so I'm downstairs and I'm sleeping on a couch right now. So she wanted to get up on the couch with me. So I was like, okay, come over. I scooted over. But I wanted to go back to sleep, so I kind of closed my eyes and she walked up and down. I opened my eyes for a second, and she is so close to my face. She is just, like, mere few inches from my face, looking right into my eyes, and she has a paw halfway up to my face to tap on my cheek. And I was like, oh, hi. Anyway, we're talking about people touching you at night, so my mind went to my cat, like, just wanting to reach out to my face.
Yes. It's exactly like that, but imagine a dead lady instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
People will feel watched. Surprise, surprise. Doors will be locked, and people will be locked into rooms without anyone being around. Things will move either in front of you, or you'll turn your back and then go look back again, and like they've been moved across. Something's been removed across the room. Lights will flash on and off without anyone touching the light switch. And the front doorbell will ring, but nobody will be at the door. So that's either like alive kids ding-dong ditching or dead kids ding-dong ditching. And there will be shadows seen flying on the staircases. No, I did not get any more information than that.
Okay, wow. So, okay, I think what I would do, my personal inclination for this one, visit during the day, don't spend the night there. Like, I would love to explore it sounds like. But I don't want to be there at night. Or sleep there, especially.
Not gonna lie, before I saw the price of the room, I kind of saw it and I was like, oh man, instead of getting an Airbnb, my group should have just rented out rooms here. But then I saw the price
you have
was
to pay
like
to be haunted.
yeah, it was like $350 a night, which I'm sure like it's worth it to stay there, but that's a little bit outside of my budget right now.
It's a little bit outside of my budget too.
But yes, that is my something something. But Robin, we are in the state of Mississippi today. Would you like to share your Mississippi college?
MISSISSIPPI. Yes, I would.
Wow.
Just so we know before we really get into everything here, Zoe, do you have any content warnings for your story today?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, I do have a content warning for mine, and it is content warning for suicide.
Okay.
So I am covering the University of...
That's not happening in real life. That's not happening. What the heck was that? Dear listeners, I apologize for the audio change, but I did want to keep this in so we could have this little spooky moment with you, but I did not want to leave you guys confused because we don't really properly explain what's going on. But what's happening right now is my lights are flickering on my screen, like on my camera, and Robin can see it on her side as well, but it's not happening in real life. So all the lights are flickering, and this is about an hour and a half to 2 hours into a recording session. So it was very spooky to say the least. If you want to go see the video, you can actually check out our TikTok. It's one of our most recently posted videos. So you can follow us at Haunted Hospitality on TikTok to go see that video. Okay, thanks, bye.
I just need a moment.
You saw that, right?
Hey, Dad? Can we turn on the light in here? Dad?
Sorry.
Oh
what were you?
It's probably, like, what was that?
I don't know. It was all the lights were flashing. All of them.
On your screen?
On my screen.
Like, just...
Not in real life.
And it wasn't happening... Wait, what do you mean all the lights were flashing? Like, because I just saw, like, your screen was flashing white. Are you saying, like, buttons were flashing for you?
No, like, literally, you see all the lights here. All of them. Any source of light on my screen was flashing. So I could
But it wasn't happening in real...
Yeah, no, it wasn't happening in real life.
Okay. Because I just saw it being, like, that white blinking thing that was happening earlier.
Yeah, but it's never happened for that long.
No, it hasn't. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That was scary.
Little scaredy cat me needs my lights on.
Okay.
Your apartment. And you want to bring a Ouija board into this situation?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So what were you saying, Rob?
Okay. I don't know. Oh yeah, University. Oh, hey Remy, get your pets. I love you very much. I'm petting her.
I can tell.
Okay. Okay. So I am covering the University of Mississippi for Women in Columbus, Mississippi. It is affectionately known as the W. So I'm going to call it the W.
Okay.
When I refer to it. The grounds were first part of the Columbus Female Institute in 1847, which was a private institution and was eventually given over when there was a big campaign for there to be a public college that specifically taught women. So they gave it over to help form one big university and gave a lot of funds for like more buildings and improvements to buildings and stuff so it could be right there. The university was chartered in 1884 and it was the first women's college in the country that was supported by a state. So it was the first public state college for women specifically. And when it first began, it was called the Industrial Institute and College. Became the Mississippi State College for Women in 1920 and Mississippi University for Women in 1974. Contrary to its name, in 1982, the university began admitting male students as well, men as well. So, Callaway Hall. This is the big story on campus, okay? This is the big ghosty. So this is the oldest building on campus. It was built sometime prior to 1885 because we know that there was a bell tower addition in 1885 to the already finished building. This bell tower was tall, 5 stories high, and it's at the very front of the building. And yes, it comes into play later. So the building was named after a former professor and college president named Mary J.S. Callaway, who worked at the W from 1885 to 1900. And like many buildings and colleges in the South during the Civil War, Callaway Hall acted as a hospital. And Mississippi, it's not a question of whether it was Confederacy or Union. This was definitely a Confederate hospital, FYI.
Yeah.
There was a nurse there, also named Mary, but a different Mary, okay? There was a nurse there named Mary. She was treating soldiers, and she fell in love with one of them. Okay. And he got back to health, and when he got back to health, he went out fighting, and she never saw him again. There are a couple of theories. By the way, I don't know, this could easily be like a legend that was like, you know, folklore made up and stuff. But either way, it is definitely like the grounding story of this ghost situation. So of course I am telling it. Uh-huh. There are a couple reasons people give as to why she never saw him again. One is that he died in the war. The other is that he lived, but he chose not to come back to her. Either way, she, according to the story, killed herself out of grief, which was either for the emotional abandonment or for like literally grieving his death. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways they say it happened, potentially because there are a couple, is that she hanged herself in the bell tower or that she jumped from it.
Okay.
Zoey, oh, by the way, apparently, according to the legend, right after she died, the bell rang 14 times. So we were about to play a game of history and math, which are your 2 favorite subjects.
Yep.
Zoey, when did the Civil War happen? I can see the buffering image right above your head.
1820.
No. Oh, God. Okay. 1861 to 1865.
Okay.
But my point being that the bell tower was constructed in 1885.
Oh, okay.
There's some, and I wasn't, honestly, one of the articles I saw pointed that out, so I don't know if I would have been smart enough to have thought of that on my own without it, but I just wanted to point out that, you know, there is a flaw in this story, so just, like, don't at me, okay, when you realize the math of it.
Is it possible that this happened at a different bell tower that was torn down and then replaced with the bell tower? New bell tower?
Nobody ever mentioned anything about tearing down a bell tower. I mean, I guess technically, whatever. I don't know what was going on in the 1800s at this building. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
I only know what they wrote down.
Okay.
So, of course, people say that she is still in Callaway Hall, walking the halls. They say that her spirit is still hoping that her beloved will come home from the war. All right? She is known especially to haunt the 4th floor. And they do see her. If you are, okay, you are living in Callaway Hall, because I think now it is a dorm. Okay, you are living in Callaway Hall, Zoey. You wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of crying, and it is Mary. She is sitting on your bed and crying. She will sit, like, on students' beds.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of freaks me out. She is also known to take the elevator, and I don't know if this means people have seen her on the elevator, or if it means that, like, the elevator mysteriously moves to different floors, and they're like, that's Mary on the elevator.
Right.
But either way, she is very strongly associated with elevators. And she will also mess with your plumbing. She will turn your faucet on and off again.
Okay.
As ghosts just seem to love to do. So there were 2 students, one of whom was named Cheryl, in the 1960s, and they were studying in Columbus Hall. And so Columbus Hall and Callaway Hall are right near each other, and you can see one from the other. So they were studying in Columbus Hall. I think this must have been at night. And they looked out the window while they were studying over at Callaway. And on one side of the building, they saw, like, this light. Mm-hmm. And they saw it move across the building to the other side. Almost, they would think that it was, like, maybe perhaps, like, somebody with a flashlight inside the building, except, like, the light never stopped as it went all the way across the building. Like, it didn't pause for breaks in the windows or anything. So that was like a very eerie experience for them. And I'm just thinking, like, that might be the first time I'm actually interested in an orb story.
Yeah. Especially since it happened
most of the time I just
person.
don't dig orbs.
Yeah.
Happened in person. I think there's only other one thing necessarily that I remember where we talked about orbs that moved, that you saw in person, and I think it happened in the Magnolia Hotel.
I know there was a
Seguin, Texas, I believe.
Okay. I know there was an orb in the other hotel, the one I covered with the morgue in the downstairs basement where you can be shut into the room.
Crescent Hotel in Arkansas.
Yeah, that one. There was an orb there.
There was an orb you saw with your naked eye?
Yeah, the woman saw, like, the orb go change colors and go into her son or something, and then he got sick.
Oh, yeah. That was a creepy one, Zoe. That was a good one. Man, you knocked it out the park with Crescent Hotel. Really freaked me out.
Well, thank you.
So in the book, Haunted Halls of Ivy, Ghosts of Southern Colleges and Universities, Daniel W. Barefoot says that a painter was working on Callaway and Columbus, so I think he was like doing exterior paint. And I guess there was like a lot of construction going on at the time or something, but he had just locked and chained the door to Columbus, which I find it very interesting that this little story happens in Columbus and not Callaway. But he locked and chained the door to Columbus after the end of a day of work, and he was getting back to his vehicle to go, but he looked back at the door and he saw a woman there holding it open. And, you know, he had just shut it. And then she walked back into the building. So he's like, what?
That's
weird. He goes over back to the door. But by the time he gets there, he sees, no, it's still locked and chained. It is exactly as I left it. And apparently, it seems he quit after that.
Oh! Okay.
At least from what I saw from this one article, but yeah, very interesting. And then if you look up at the tallest windows of Callaway, you might see someone in the window. It could be Mary, or it could be the mannequin head that some students have taken to putting it up there now and again. The university's president, Nora Miller, says that students have managed to get into the building's attic and will sometimes just put it at the window. And I love that.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's just like, you know that you have a ghost in that building. You're like, okay, we'll put the mannequin head in the window. You'll see the ghost. Now, I have this one little superstition story, and then I'm going to get into my second university. I did 2 in 1, just because interesting stories, but they're kind of shorter. So the ginkgo tree. So do you know what I'm talking about ginkgo trees, Zoe?
I've heard the phrase, but I don't think I can, like, picture it in my mind.
So ginkgo trees are so pretty. I really encourage you to Google them. They can get really, really, really big. When it's time for their leaves to change color, they change into this really, really vibrant yellow. And apparently they like lose all their leaves in one day. I Googled a couple of ginkgo facts. Apparently they have not evolved in 200 million years. So what you're looking at now has pretty much been the same way for 200 million years. And they're so genetically distinct that there's nothing that is very closely related to them at all. They're very themselves.
That's cool.
And I love that for them. Yeah. So Japan gave the W a ginkgo tree, a female ginkgo tree, sometime in the 1800s. And they also gave a male tree to MSU, so Mississippi State University. And there is a little superstition on campus that if a woman at the W stands under the ginkgo tree and a man at MSU stands under their ginkgo tree and a leaf falls on each of their shoulders at the exact same time, that they are meant to be together.
How would you track that?
I don't know if, like, somebody would have to be live streaming, like, the entire thing in amazing synchronicity. Mm-hmm. Like, both of that, like, 2 live streamers being like, all right, we're gonna get these people together. Like, they would have to dedicate their whole day to it. Though, to be fair, it does lose all leaves on one day, so if you, like, happen to be free and around the day it's losing its leaves, you could really make a day of it. You could try. You have multiple chances.
Okay. And now I'm just thinking of all the possibilities. Like, what if there's, like, 5 people on each side that all get the leaves on their shoulders at the same exact time, does that mean like they're going to be a polycule of 10 people? Or like are all 5 the soulmates of all other 5? Like,
I think what happens is it turns into a really weird and even more convoluted, because there's more characters, Midsummer Night's Dream situation, where everybody is in love with somebody else, but it's not like you're not in love with the person who's in love with you.
Right, you're in love with...
And then you gotta get the fairies involved, and then anyway, eventually it will all shake out once the magic happens.
Somebody has a donkey
no,
for a
that's
head.
not really how a Midsummer Night's Dream is. Somebody ended up really unhappy at the end of... I remember there was somebody in A Midsummer Night's Dream who you realized at the end, oh, nothing actually worked out for them. They were the odd one out. I can't remember who, though.
All I can remember from my class was that for our final project, one of my fellow classmates enacted the play in a very short form via The Sims 4.
I love that. And I adore that. What did I do for my final? Did I just write a paper?
That was for Richie's class, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got that.
Yeah.
we had some really cool... She lets you be, like, really creative in your classes. I think for that one... Oh, yeah, I did, like, Shakespeare prologues. I wrote prologues to Shakespeare's plays similar to Romeo and Juliet, except I did not have... It completely didn't occur to me that rhyme and meter needed to happen.
Oh.
So they just really sucked and did not sound like Shakespeare at all.
Oh, no.
Anyway, that's what happened. I think about that sometimes. I have one more university to tell you a couple stories about, one of which is Delta... No, it is Delta State University, and that's what both the stories are about. So it is a public university in Cleveland, Mississippi, and founded in 1924. So this story I'm about to tell you, it is about a potential thing of, like, possession, like demonic possession. Ooh. And I just wanted to go in here with the quick disclaimer that I am super suspicious of everything to do with demonic possessions and exorcisms, because there is, like, I think documented a whole bunch of mental health things that could be going on that could really just give the effects of what we call demonic possession. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to put that in there to underscore the story. All right, are we ready?
Ready.
Okay, so there was... Okay, thank you. There was a group of students in a dorm lobby who decided to do something that Zoe's going to be doing in her apartment anytime now, which is a Ouija board. They ended up getting responses of some sort from it, and a student did something that Zoey will not do when she's doing her Ouija board, and the student gave the entity permission to possess her. Uh-huh. Don't do this. Uh-huh. This is when things start going haywire. Her friend said that her skin began to turn really red. Like, she was blushing so hard it turned like a dark, dark red. And, well, like a deep red. And that her hair was raising. And I imagine they mean, like, static electricity when, like, you rub your head on a balloon or something.
Right.
That is my assumption. They said her voice sounded different, too, like it was someone else. They freak out. Yeah. And they call a professor that I think maybe teaches in these things. That wasn't very specific in the story I read of it. But they call this professor, and the first call, I think, for whatever reason, I don't know if he thinks, like, they're not being serious or he doesn't think it's a serious situation. I don't know. It is a Saturday night. Okay. But they call him again, and then he realizes how dire the situation is. So he goes to their dorm, and they're all in the dorm lobby, and he goes, and he doesn't know how to do an exorcism. He's never, like, done one before, but he, like, prays over her for, like, a really long time. And apparently, like, it was kind of hard getting what they think, like, the entity to leave, but eventually they reached a point where they really did think it had left. So he then walked the girl home back to her dorm, where she had friends and stuff and other people there too. And the students, by the way, the other people, they, like, literally burnt or broke the Ouija board. They were, like, destroying it after that. They were really freaked out. But they would later, like, tell that professor that she had dropped she eventually dropped out of Delta, and that they said that whatever happened never fully, like, whatever possessed her, they don't think ever fully left her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was a very big story. I wanted to just share that one. And I read that in, by the way, just the Delta Statement, which is the student newspaper.
Got it.
Yeah, so there's another story, and this one also has like a trigger warning for suicide, by the way, because, well, I'll kind of get to that. But 3 Delta students, this is a situation where I think it's kind of off campus, but it's so close to campus that I think it counts.
Okay.
Because they lived in a house near the football field, like right by it. And there was 3 Delta students, and there were some weird things happening in the house that they weren't quite ready to attribute to a ghost, but things would move from where they had been before. There were sounds that they had convinced themselves was the cat. There was the sound of a man coughing. I get the set. It never explicitly said, but I think it was like 3 women living in the house. And by the way, doors would open and stuff without any reason for them to be opening. So this person who wrote this story got to their house one day, and they saw a teenage boy standing at the front door. He had on a baseball cap. And she was thinking that maybe like one of her roommates had their boyfriend over, but she went inside the house and nobody was there. Like, he wasn't there. And eventually she thought that was really weird because she had like seen somebody who suddenly disappeared in her own home. And there was later at some point a party that they went to, and people started talking about haunted houses, and everybody started bringing up this one specific one they all seemed to know about that was near the football field. And in the middle of the conversation, she realizes, oh, they're talking about my house.
That's scary.
And apparently the reason they all were saying it was haunted, I don't know if this was why, but she learned this in the conversation, that there was a teenage boy who had committed suicide in that house.
Oh.
And so she was thinking, oh, yeah, those things kind of clicked in her head to where she thinks like, okay, I am being haunted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess I am being haunted.
I guess I am being haunted. Yes, yes. I mean, it does seem like in general, the haunting was very benign, honestly. Like, sometimes he coughs. Sometimes
Yeah.
he opens a door.
Yeah.
But, like, other than that, very chill. So, like, it's just coexisting at that point. He's another roommate.
Who doesn't pay rent.
Yeah. Gotta fix that. Gotta get your rent from your ghosts.
Yes.
So those are my Mississippi stories. I'm ready for yours.
Okay, well, it's funny that you brought up Mississippi State University in yours, because that is what I'm covering. Though a big part of it, I think what drew me to this university, it's not necessarily haunted, but it's definitely creepy. So, let's get
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay. I mean, there are ghosts, but... So, in the Mississippi State University, it is mostly known for agriculture and applied science, and it's near Starkville, Mississippi, but apparently the city is literally called Mississippi State University. But, yeah, I know, that's weird. It was founded in 1878 when it was called the Agricultural and Mechanical College of the State of Mississippi until they shortened it in 1932. Thank you. Now, I have seen people call it Mississippi A&M. I don't know if that's like a common thing. It was in a couple sources, but I don't know. Like, when I think A&M, I think Texas A&M, not Mississippi A&M. But, so breaking it down by location, the first one we're going to cover is George Hall. So George Hall is one of the oldest buildings on campus. It is currently the Office of Public Affairs, but it used to be the campus infirmary. And then when the Spanish flu epidemic hit MSU in 1918, there were several students who lost their lives and many more who were sick. And so it became a temporary morgue and embalming station. So, like, so many students were dying that they had to, like, embalm the students there before they could ship them home to their family.
Oh my god, wow.
So, there have been several who died in the building, as you can imagine, and people say that the people who died there are still there, still haunting it. And everybody who goes by the building, they say it has an eerie feeling. So there hasn't been any, like, I saw a figure of a man in the building, but, like, almost everybody who enters it is like, no, this is creepy.
Yeah.
So it's bad enough that some cleaning crews refuse to be inside the building after dark, and many people in the daylight believe that it's too creepy to spend too long in it. And
Ooh, okay.
on the school newspaper's website, which the school newspaper is called The Reflector, there was a comment made in 2017 by user Imp121 who said, I was exploring campus not too long ago at night and something compelled me to venture into George Hall. The very back door that leads to the basement was unlocked, so I cautiously opened it and immediately felt a strange vibe, stranger than anything I have ever felt before. There, before my friends and I, was a room right off of the door with handcuffs hanging from the ceiling. In another room, there was plastic cups in different colors, and next to those was a broken glass cup that was sat upright. I have gone inside of abandoned hospitals and insane asylums, and I have never felt such a deranged presence. The others were creeped out, but for some reason I felt a connection with whatever was in that basement. Safe to say I will never step foot back in there again.
Wait, they felt a connection.
But never wanted to go back. I think they were being a little bit edgy.
Oh, okay. Like, well, I'm cool. I felt a connection.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, if you were like feeling inexplicably drawn to, that means it's after you.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah. It's trying to get you there.
Oh.
All right. So that's all for George Hall. But then there is Montgomery Hall. And this amused me. So there is a story that is called The Witches of Montgomery Hall. So
yay.
Montgomery Hall has 4 floors. And in the 60s, supposedly, a group of students would sneak into the building and have seances and try to connect to the other world using Ouija boards. And ever since, people believe that that place is haunted. So it has the standard, like, cold spots, things moving, doors slamming, footsteps kind of thing. But there's nothing specific that's mentioned, which makes me kind of go, is it really haunted? You know?
Yeah.
But I do believe there could be a cult, or people who think that it's very funny if they make people believe it's a cult. Because Troy Ruby, the Dean of Education in 2003, says he himself has seen satanic symbols on the top abandoned floor. So,
really?
yes. So the top floor is condemned and it's locked to students. And apparently there was like water issues that they never fixed, and so they just shut it off. But he went up there once because there were reports of students breaking in, so he wanted to go up there and just make sure that nothing was going on. And he took a professor named Robert Wolverton with him, and they both saw a 6-pointed star painted onto the ground with a dead bird in the center of the star. There were candles around, and there was other satanic symbols.
Oh.
And
okay.
The group of students responsible for it were never found, but the Dean of Education said that he believed that there was some sort of cult. He didn't feel like it was a prank because it was too much dedication for it to be a prank. So he's like, no, kids who are doing a prank would maybe paint some things, do 666 all over the walls, whatever. But he felt like the way the atmosphere was, there was too much dedication for it to just be a prank.
Yeah. With a dead bird.
Yeah. Like, unfortunately, there probably
did, like, a dead bird with a prank, like, that, screw you.
Yeah, there probably are some people who would do that for a prank, but hopefully not too many. And hopefully there isn't a group of, like, 20 people who would do it. But there are also reports of Satan worshippers who are in the woods. They'll meet in a clearing in the woods, and they have nights filled with animal sacrifices and orgies.
Wait, I did read about this.
Really?
Is there like a nearby like road or something that's very or was that a different place in Kentucky I didn't cover?
So Western State University and another college in another area form what's called the Golden Triangle, and that triangle is very haunted, and there is a road nearby, but I did not cover that because it's not part of campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I briefly skimmed over it, but I didn't go into detail. Real quick, in Haunted Hall, there are many people saying that there is a ghost dog that walks the halls. I wasn't able to find any like backstory behind it, but apparently you can hear him howling at night all throughout.
Okay.
So this next thing is the reason I'm covering this university, and it's very creepy. People have died, but I don't know if it's necessarily haunted.
Okay.
So Mississippi State University has something that they call either the Dragon's Lair or the Dragon's Room.
Okay.
Depending on who you ask, whether they're a cynic or not, everybody agrees that there are tunnels underneath the campus.
Okay.
The cynics say that there is one tunnel and it leads from the cafeteria to one of the dorm halls, and it was used during the Civil War to bring food to the soldiers. So, and that's it. It's locked off to students, and there's nothing more to think about it. However, the people who are not cynics, who I agree with, because there have been multiple people reporting this, say that there are halls, like tunnels underneath the school throughout, including the school saying, yes, there were tunnels at one point. We've blocked off most of them, though. So there are tunnels underneath the school that are either part of the sewer system, part of that tunnel system, bringing food from the cafeteria, or they're steam halls. So steam was used to heat buildings, but it's no longer used. And so it's like that entire area has been shut down. But this underground tunnel system has very creepy vibes. People say it's haunted. Other people say it's just toxic. And so there within these halls is the Dragon Lair. So this is a dead end room-esque area where one student did make it there, and he painted the mural of a dragon on the wall. So that's why it's called the Dragon's Lair. And it's a thing for oncoming freshmen to make their find the Dragon's Lair, and they'll sign their name on the wall saying, like, I made it here. And
okay.
So there was one student that was... So first of all, before I get into it, because there might be people who are like, oh my god, I'm going there in the fall. Let me look for the Dragon's Lair. No, please don't. Please do not look for it. It's very dangerous. Most of the tunnels are not accessible anymore because it's been welded shut, and people have been fined and suspended for trying to look for it because they're fined for trespassing.
We are officially discouraging you from taking that path.
Yes. So, it's no longer accessible. Students were getting injured or trapped or sick in the tunnels, and it's really hard to get help to them. It's really hard to know that they need help. So that's why the school ended up blocking it off before a parent sued them for a kid dying. Yeah. There was a student in 2016 who died. He was in the football field, so I don't think it's related to this, but I kept seeing people like link to that student who died in 2016 to be like, don't go into the Dragon Lair, but I'm like, it seems unrelated, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So there was an anonymous student interviewed. He went by C in the interview, and he said that his brother was the one who started the story of the Dragon Lair because it was his brother's friend who painted the mural of the dragon, and he also drew a map for C. C was quoted saying, once you get in, you have to climb down a very small shaft to get down to the bottom. Then you have to crawl on your hands and knees for about 100 feet. That was probably the hardest part. It was very snug. Once you get past that, you get into this huge, long tunnel system, and that's where it gets easier. And I'm like, no, thank you.
No. I mean, the idea of being in a huge, long tunnel system sounds fascinating, but I think I'm a bit claustrophobic, and I don't think I would be able to do the crawling in a snug space thing.
Especially it's dark, it's dank, it smells bad, you don't know where the end of the tunnel is. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'll stay above ground.
Yeah. And just to wrap this up, I know this is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but the chief of police was quoted saying, "I've heard numerous stories of highly expensive equipment being damaged unintentionally by people crawling around these tunnels. I've also heard of people dying because they got down there and got electrocuted. There's gas down there, there are varmints, and there's also oxygen deficient areas underground. So, do not go to the dragon's lair. But theoretically, if you do get in there somehow, don't do it. But if you do get in there somehow, there might be ghosts there because of all the students who have died there."
Yes, but don't, because you don't want to be one of them.
Exactly. And you don't want to get fined for trying. But yeah, that is the I'm sorry, not Texas, Mississippi State University.
All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, review, tell a friendo, and join our Patreon at patreon.com/hauntedhospitality for just $3 a month. You get another episode with us.
Yes, and it comes out on the 13th because we're spooky. If you want to see our sources, you can head over to hauntedhospitality.wordpress.com. Or if you have your own spooky story, maybe you've been to one of these colleges or you're going in the fall, you can write to us at hauntedhospitalitypodcast@gmail.com. Or you can slide into our DMs.
Yes, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Haunted Hospitality. We're also on Twitter at Haunted Host. We hope to see you there.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.